Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we're going to be talking about Chupacabra. I have a bunch of Chupacabra stories that are in this article, folks, and we're going to read through them. Not just one, but several of them, ranging from 1995. Let's get into the name of this article, Chupacabra Nexus, and read, well, the whole thing, folks. Let's get into it now. In 1995, Puerto Rico became ground zero for one of the most controversial modern cryptid outbreaks in the Western Hemisphere. What began as reports of mutilated livestock and terrified witnesses quickly expanded into a larger mystery involving bizarre humanoid descriptions, alleged UFO associations, folklore echoes, and a media storm that pushed El Chupacabras into international notoriety. Early reporting placed the center of gravity in Puerto Rico, especially around Cavanavanas and the island's Central Highlands, before the legend spread throughout Latin America and later shifted into the very different hairless canid version seen in the American Southwest. What matters here is that the Puerto Rico accounts do not read like routine predator losses. The earliest witnesses described a compact, upright, non-human form with large eyes, unusual movements, and in some cases apparent physiological effects on observers, including dizziness, paralysis, and sudden weakness. Those details are precisely why the Puerto Rico wave remains more intriguing than the latter dog or coyote cases that were often resolved as known animals with mange. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement, folks, because if you look at the earlier Puerto Rican accounts, they seem far more alien than the later canid accounts. But let's read onward. The modern Chupacabra legend is generally traced to Puerto Rico, where a wave of livestock deaths and strange encounters gathered momentum in 1995. In public reporting at the time, witnesses, veterinarians, local officials, and the press described attacks on goats, sheep, rabbits, dogs, and other animals, often emphasizing puncture wounds to the neck and the apparent lack of conventional feeding behavior. By late 1995, Conovanes had become one of the best-known focal points, with multiple residents claiming close sightings and local authorities treating the matter seriously enough to organize searches. One of the accounts provided to me comes from a witness who stated that in early 1995, near Conovanes, Puerto Rico, he experienced two separate attack incidents during the second event. He and his father were working after midnight when they heard a large dog growling in a field behind the workplace. The witness went to investigate and saw what he described as a 4-foot-tall, ugly creature unlike anything he had ever seen. He said the dog initially kept its distance, but the entity suddenly leapt and attacked with astonishing speed, ripped the animal apart within seconds, and without making any sound. When the witness returned with his armed father, only the mutilated dog remained. The witness was adamant that what he saw was not folklore, rumor, or misidentification. He described the being as vaguely man-like at a distance, but up close possessing a lizard-like head, a hairless, dog-like body, unusually large dark eyes, long claws, and teeth capable of inflicting catastrophic trauma. He further stated that while he believed the Puerto Rico incidents were genuine, he was skeptical of many later mainland reports, which he suspected were simply misidentified dogs. Because indeed, folks, that's what a lot of them look like, because they look like dogs or coyotes with mange, just hairless, legged animals, unlike this alien-like being that basically our witness here describes. But let's get back to this article. That distinction is important. The original Puerto Rico creature was usually described as bipedal, compact, and overtly non-canine. Later, mainland Chupacabra reports increasingly centered on hairless quadrupeds, and many of those carcasses were ultimately identified by DNA or veterinary examination as coyotes, dogs, or related canids suffering from severe mange. The Puerto Rico wave and the later Texas-style cases are best treated as separate categories rather than as one seamless phenomena. Additional archived Puerto Rico reports reinforce that split. But now, let's get to the next story. In Saltos Cabra, Puerto Rico, in the middle of March 1995, at night, two police officers responding to a call about mutilated lambs reportedly saw a roughly 4-foot-tall humanoid figure standing by the road. It was described as orange-yellow in color and humanoid in shape. When one officer attempted to pursue it into the brush, he was suddenly overcome by a severe headache and dizziness. Here we have one of the first accounts describing that this entity could somehow affect people, folks, either mentally or maybe through some sort of pheromonal release. Basically, a smell that this animal gave off caused this man to suddenly basically have a headache, folks, and be very dizzy. I imagine that officer found this very deliberating. Either way, let's get to the next story. In Ococovias, Puerto Rico on March 26, 1995, a ranch watchman named Jamie Torres, who was already on alert because of the reported UFO activity in the area, observed a short humanoid creature perched on a large tree branch. He described a large hairless head, slanted eyes, a small mouth, a pointed chin, thin arms, and claw-like fingers. He also noted that its skin seemed to display mixed coloration, including gray, maroon, yellow, and purple. According to the account, that being made a peculiar gesture, emitted a low buzzing sound, and Torres immediately felt sleepy and dizzy before recovering enough to see it leap down and run into the woods. Once again, we have a report of a Chupacabra mentally influencing someone. This time, he almost fell asleep before the entity departed. Let's get to the next story now. In Ocovias, again, on March 28, 1995, another witness reportedly saw a 4-foot creature climbing partway up a tree trunk. This figure was described as having smooth, gray skin, a dark face, a round head, a thick torso, short legs, and long, thin arms, ending in long fingers. It then fled into dense brush. In all these reports, we give the same, noted departure method, folks. They just ran away into the brush. Do you suppose that this entity had some sort of UFO or maybe some way to get away from people? I mean, I would love to know if people followed it into the brush where they've seen it depart in a UFO or maybe go into a, tunnel in the ground, perhaps. That's what I'm asking here, folks, because Puerto Rico is known to have many caves and underground cave systems. So I would love to know if that would be the case here as well. We just have most of these accounts ending with the entity departing into the brush, into the woods. Let's move on to this next story as well. In Saltos Colli, Puerto Rico, on March 30th, 1995, Margarita Torres was watering plants in her yard when she saw a 3-foot-tall gray being with a large round head, long thin arms, and large black eyes emerge from the wooded terrain and walk uphill. She reported being temporarily transfixed and unable to move. When her husband joined her and they searched the area, they saw the creature hunched over, observing a nearby bull that itself appeared agitated. When Margarita screamed, the entity ran into the woods and vanished. Taken together, these accounts present a profile far closer to a bizarre humanoid or entity or encounter than to a hunt for a known predator. The recurring features included reduced stature, large dark eyes, hairless or smooth skin, unusual limb proportions, rapid movement, witness paralysis or dizziness, and in at least one case, a prior expectation of UFO activity in the vicinity. Those are not routine details about livestock depredation. Indeed, folks, those aren't. And the fact that this entity resembles more of an alien gray rather than anything else, folks, though there are notable differences, like one witness saying that had a mixed colored skin like a lizard, really brings to mind basically more alien cryptids like the reptilians, perhaps, or maybe the insectoids. I mean, if you actually saw an insectoid-like entity, would it sound, maybe somewhat similar to this? I mean, it had spines on its body, folks, so maybe you wouldn't. Maybe think it, as you can see from this picture I used here, folks, it looks more lizard-like. Now, this is a drawing, folks, but I can understand if you actually saw this entity in real life with the large eyes, you would, I would not be surprised if you thought it was some sort of large insect entity, would you? So, is the Chupacabra an insect, a reptilian lizard, or some sort of alien monstrosity that is, on that island? I don't know, folks. Those are some of the first accounts, and they certainly don't really describe a canid here, folks. I mean, from the sounds of it, it sounds nothing like a dogman or even remotely dog-like at all, except maybe having a dog-like body, at least basically the upper torso at least, but that's about it. But then again, that also kind of describes a large lizard too, doesn't it, folks? Either way, what is the, Chupacabra? Why has it been conflated with and basically mingled with these stories of, hairless canids and stuff like that, animals with mange? Could it be that the government, the U.S. government, spread these stories that basically muddy the waters so no one would exactly know what they were talking about, so they could, obscure the truth? It sounds like that could be the real reason to me, folks. Either way, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics That Are Bad For You. You can do so with the links down below in the descriptions or the chat. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure you hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.